A quick recap. What is the difference between inner join and outer join?
Inner join will be printing give the results of the common between the two tables.
Okay.
At least we need to match one records between the two tables. So outer join, so depending upon the queries, maybe taking left join or full join. So in this case, outer join may not be necessary to match the record between the two tables.
So yeah, basically outer join, whenever someone asked about the outer join, we have the three types of outer join, right? Left outer join, right outer join, full outer join. Whenever just refer the outer join, that means the full outer join. If they specifically call the left outer join, that is the left outer, otherwise right outer. Okay. So yes, as you mentioned, inner join will display the records of if the records matching in both scenarios, and the outer joins will, based upon if it is a left outer join, it will take the left precedence. If it is the right outer join, it will take the right precedence, and it is the full outer join, it will just join the left outer and the full outer. The difference between full outer and cross join. Difference between full outer and cross join. Just one can speak.
Full outer join, it combines data of both the left and the right outer joins. Whereas the cross join, it gives a combination of all the possibilities.
Exactly, Cartesian product. Okay, inner join skip the null values, but outer join does not. Okay, that's an interesting question. So basically, let's Shruti, you mentioned inner join will skip the null columns. Let's take the table A. We have the DEPT ID. Okay, DEPT ID, and the table B also we have the DEPT ID, and both has at least in the department table also we have one record, just null record. Let's for the discussion point of view, let's assume there is a 1 engineering, 2 testing, and there is a null unknown. Let's take, I have the data like this. For some reason, it's not the valid reason, but some reason I have the unknown. In this scenario also, is the null records. So whenever I display the department name for the null records, can I get the unknown as the department name or not?
No.
Why? I have the null record in, okay, employee table, EMP ID. I have the 1 and DEPT ID, where it has 1, 1, 2, null. Now, if I join to this department table, here I'm expecting it is ENGG. Here I'm expecting unknown. So can't I get this unknown here?
No, unknown. It is not possible. I think so.
Why not? So Prashant, my question is, okay, let's assume in the department table there is one record where the department ID is null and department name is unknown. And in employee table we have the one record with the null department ID. In that scenario, does my department name for this employee ID will return this unknown or not? That is my question. No, it does not. Why? I need the reason. If not, exactly. Null equal to null.
Can you repeat one more time the question if you don't mind?
So department table we have the null value and the department name unknown. In employee table we have the null employee department ID is. Here this null should match with this null and get the unknown here to here, right? But it won't, because null equal to null is unknown. As for the null object, when you compare the null object against to the other null, is the null equal to null is true? No, unknown. As it is not true, that record won't be displayed. That is the reason why the null record, it won't pick the value here. It will be null only. Okay, good. The next one, let's go ahead and do few queries in the tables what we have, few joins. Okay, here if you see here, I have the orders, order lines, and some other informations, right? Let me read about the orders table. Select. Do I need to give the star or just top 100 star? What would you suggest and why?
It will take 100, top 100. Star required, correct?
Yes. So
Star required.
no, the thing is, if I have that, my table has the million records. I just want to know, understand what kind of information I have in this orders table. I need not to read the whole table. Okay, I can simply just read the top 100 star. That will sufficient for me to understand the data what I have. So it's going to be worldwide importers, right? Okay, if I see here, it has the order, each order associated to customer, and the salesperson who worked on this one, and the contact person ID, back order ID, order date, expected delivery date, customer purchase order number. So this one, so right, so here I have the customer ID and order ID. Maybe I can join to the order table with the customer table to get the customer information. If I go to the customer table, okay, there are if I see here, sales customer transactions, sales customers, sales customer categories. So there are the three tables. Which table I have to map? So that question is based upon the what kind of information you want to show. Let's assume, let's read about these three tables and try to understand what kind of data we have in this table. Okay, so select a top 100 stars, or in other words, you can just expand here and see the column names, but this will give you just the column names. If you give the column names properly, you can understand some context from here, but if you don't give the column names properly, you can't get anything. Always better to just to select the top 100 star, because you can see the what kind of data in the column is storing also. So that would give you the more information. So what I would suggest is select top 100 star, the customer categories. Suppose as for this simply information, it's seeing that there is kind of categories, and this category valid from to a valid to, and when it is last edited, and what is the customer category. Suppose if I see how this is got categorized, these customers, how these customers got categorized. Okay, it's a agent, wholesaler, supermarket, computer store. It's a customer category. What kind of corporate customers? General retailers. So these are the different categories of the customer categories we have. So that's okay, but it is not giving me any information related to the customer ID. I want to join the orders to retrieve the customer information. In the order table, I have the customer ID, and then I need to look into the table where I have the customer ID. Okay, Ganesh.
The invoices has the customer ID.
Yeah. Ganesh, why you need to make a presenter yourself? Ganesh sent a message saying that can you make me the presenter? I think he gone and he gone back. Okay. Okay, invoices. Let me see. But invoice also is kind of if you see invoice associated to customer, but it's not the customer details, right? I focused on these three tables. Let me see. A customer here. See here I have the customer information. It makes more sense over here, right? So where it has the customer ID, customer name, and billing information and all these things. So then if I go for select top 100 star from customers. So if you see here, there is a two tables. Customer archive history, they just stored that one. Okay, customers, right? see here. So we have a customer ID, customer name, bill to customer, and customer category, what kind of category we have, and his delivery information, these things. Okay, this is a very good scenario. Now, okay, I want to get order ID, first thing, customer ID and customer name. Then I want to get the order ID, what customer category. Then I want to get the what order ID he made, and what kind of order information we have.
May I interrupt for a minute, please?
Yes, please.
What's the significance of system version in the brackets?
So it's a kind of it's kind of in 2016 it seems. They have created some Azure version tables and the non-Azure versions tables. System versions, they have created some Azure table kind of things. That's what I didn't really look into this database. This is the first time I'm looking into 2006 AdventureWorks kind of thing. Okay. As for my understanding at this point of time, this system version, they have created some kind of Azure databases over here for the both purposes, on-premise and Azure version.
Okay, so as a developer, I don't really have to bother about it.
And we don't need to bother about that one right now.
Okay.
We don't need to. Okay, yes. So I just want to go back to see the order information what we have here. It seems order date. Let's give me the order ID, order date, and that's it. When the order made. So I want to get each customer ID, customer name, customer category, order ID, and order date. These are the columns I want to create a report. Order information related to a particular customer. Now, can someone tell me from where I need to start?
Where is that order ID? In the table is the order ID?
I want the order ID. So there is order ID in the order table.
Okay.
So I want the customer ID, customer name, customer category, order ID, order date. So we need to start from select and from, right? But select, I can list out the columns later. But from columns we have to come, right? So which table would you consider first? If you see here, based upon our
customer
table. Customer table. Okay.
Inner join.
Okay. Customer table, sales dot customers. I'm going to use the aliases. I'm going to use the aliases to simplify our query. Okay. CUSD.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Inner join. Okay.
Inner join. So order table.
Order table. Okay. Oh, sorry. Order table. Okay. So take the order table. Order. Okay. See, it is a keyword, right? Order is the keyword kind of thing. Then to change this keyword to normal column name, you can give within the braces, something like that. Okay.
Question. So the orders table has customer ID, right?
Yes.
And the customer table does not have any order ID. It's just the order table has customer ID.
Order table has the customer ID, but customer table has the customer ID.
Okay, yeah.
So we can join on based on customer ID.
Yes.
What is the common between these two tables, sir? Customer and order table?
Customer ID, right? Order dot customer ID. So by seeing this information till now, what we got all the orders for the given customer. If the customer has at least one order, we are getting that information. That's good. Then what next? What next?
We get everything, correct? We are getting everything, or you?
Sir, I would like to hear the question once. Can you please repeat the question?
My question is, I need to retrieve these columns. Okay. Now, till now you just help me to make a join between the customer and order. By using the customer and order, I got these two columns. and these two columns, right? I haven't
Yes.
the customer category. Then what next
Sir,
do?
we can group, I mean, we can add one more table and group by customer category. Can we do that?
Not required. You can do the multiple joins.
Multiple joins. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So the next step is with this result set, whatever the result set you have having, you are doing the join one more time. Inner join. Okay. The customer table, category table. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can use the category table. Category table, CATE category on. Now, which table to which table we need to map? Customer
Sir,
category
in customer table, there will be a customer category column.
Cust dot category ID is equal to category dot
Category dot
category ID.
category ID.
Okay. This now, I think we have joined the three tables over here.
Sir,
We need to make sure.
can I interrupt, sir?
Pardon?
Can I interrupt?
Yes, please.
Actually, in this case, we cannot use any bracket because the first two inner join we take based on the condition, and the third, second inner join, what basis are going to take condition, because the two tables already will be there.
Yes.
What is the common between this first and second and the last third tables?
Here, if you see the first table and second table joining on the customer ID, the third table is joining to the first table on the customer ID. So A to B, A to C. Then means A to B, B to C. All threes are tied up, right?
A to B, A to B.
A to B.
And
First
A
one
to
is A
C.
to B, right? Next one is the A to C. So all three are joined, and that too, this is the inner join.
Okay, and we need not worry about that middle one, correct? Always we always taking the table A.
I didn't get you. Why we not?
No. What I'm asking that one. If you want to merging the couple of tables at a time, the first table we take in assumption A table, the B table and C table, D table. Then if you write the condition on based on the A and B and A and C and A and D, correct?
Yeah. So basically, you need to mention like this: A and B, either B and C or A and C. Okay, it need not to be A and C and A and B and C. It need not to be. It's not required all possible combinations here. Just think simply. Okay, whenever you do this two, right, you got all the columns from the customer, all the columns from the orders. Simple. In the next one, when you try to join, at least one column between these two tables you have to select and join to this one.
Sorry for interruption. I'm not just understanding these multiple tables. Can you repeat the what condition? Just my assumption is correct or wrong. For example, A, B, C, D, four tables are there, and based on condition, we have to write the condition A and B and A and C and A and D. Correct?
No, not order required. Okay, no order is required over here. Just think like this. First, you have the A and B. When you join the A and B, you have all the columns set off from A to B. Okay, then from that columns list, either it can be from the A or it can be from the B. The next join should be mapped. Then you have the set of A, B, C together. In the next join, from the above set, means either from A, either from B, either from C. You should pick whatever the columns to join to the next join. So it is not required any order like A to B, A to C, A to D, not required. Okay, it's A to B. Between A and B, any column to the C. Between A, B, C, any column to the D. Is it make sense? Basically, the execution start from class, right? You got the cust. It took all the columns from the customer. Then you're joining to the order table. Then you got all the column from this customer and the order. Then you whenever you go for the other join, your joining clause must be one of the columns from the above. Must be one of the column. It need not to be only from the customer or not only from the order. It can be anything. Anyone from between these two. The next join, anyone between these three. Okay, so just simply think as a, you are accumulating the column list. The next join should be one of your column list. Is it clear?
But actually, what my assumption that when you are reading also same like that way only, correct? I'm talking about this.
So basically, lakhs. What you are doing is you are impliciting the order. You are telling that A to B, A to C. I'm telling that there is no order specification. I won't mind.
Okay.
You can see A to B and B to C. I don't mind. You don't require A to B and B to C, or A to C only. Not required. I'm telling A to B. Next one is from A and B, any column to the C. Next one is from A and B and C, any column to the D.
Okay, got it. So, but the common column is necessary between these two tables, any one of the tables.
Yes.
Whichever table you are matching, the table will be, for example, A, B, C, D. If you are making a D table also, if the particular column, whichever column is available in the D table, that is matching with the A or B or C, any table.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone has any other question? Because I'm spending time here too. This is the base for the SQL query, right? So you have to understand this concept. That's why I'm spending time. I'm holding myself to continue, give you the more information over here. And it is required for you to understand the performance of the query also. The understanding of these joins, how it works, will help you to write the more performant queries. I will talk that one in a bit. Okay. Now, come back to the columns names. What columns I need to get?
We can get from customer ID, customer name, category. We get all the columns.
So I have the customer ID in the order table or in the customer table. So can I
customer table.
The customer ID from any table? So I can choose the customer ID from any table because I have used the inner join. If I use the inner join, if the record exists in both tables, then only the record will be retrieved, which means either I choose from the customer or choose from the order, doesn't matter. Okay, but more common sense.
Both are same only.
Yes, more common sense. You can use the customer ID. Yeah. Next one is
customer. We need to compulsory use a cost only.
Yeah, customer name. Next
here we cannot use any other table. We have to use cost only, right?
You don't have the customer name in any other table. If you have customer name in any other table, then you can feel free to use.
Okay.
Category dot category name.
Customer category.
Yeah, order dot
Order ID.
Order.
So we have to take order in braces.
Yes, you're right. So order dot order ID, comma order dot
order date.
Okay, perfect. And I want to see the each customer order by. Then order by customer ID, comma name. Okay. See here, why I got the customer ID these many times. Okay, if you see here, customer ID 1, I have the records of almost 150 around, right? 130 records. Why I got these many records over here?
Based on the order date.
Based upon the order date. Okay. Okay. Any other answer?
Same customer ID. Same customer
The customer ID.
Even order ID differs, sir. One customer can purchase so many of orders by one customer.
Yeah, order date and order ID. So in the order table for one customer, you can have the multiple records. That's why your result set is the return to more than one record. See, so these two columns are differing. That's why these three columns are the same for all the one, because one customer, the customer name won't change, because in the customer table for one record there is one customer ID only, right? And the customer category also, in the customer table, as you have only one record for the customer ID, customer category ID also one only. So you will get this one also one. But in the order table, for one customer, you have multiple orders. That's why you are getting the more than one record over here.
So there is different orders.
Yes, as these are all the different orders. Okay. And if you have any duplicates in the order table, the same order ID repeated, then you will get the duplicate here also. Okay. Any questions over here?
Any limitation? How many tables in one query you can?
No, there is no limitation. There is no limitation. You can go until I think 128 tables, something like that. I don't see any limitation over here. Okay.
Up to 128 tables.
128 tables. Yeah. Okay. The next thing is, I want to, if you see the order date, I have the all the data for 2014, 15, 13, 16, all these things, right? I want to get only the orders which are made in 2016. I want to get the orders only which are made in 2013.
We can use group by clause.
Yes.
You can use where clause, I think.
Okay, we can use the where clause by Kavita. We can use group by clause by someone else.
No.
Yeah, we can use where clause because group by clause will show all the like groupings in all year.
Exactly. So basically, we are not grouping anything over here, right? So
Yes.
we are just using the filtering the records. Whenever you need to filter the records, the clauses we need to use the only where clause or the having clause. So yes, you can go by the where clause. Now tell me. So where clause, where I need to write?
Order. Before order by customer ID, customer name.
At
After the
end.
joins, the order of the where clause is from joins, all the joins you need to write, then the where clause. Okay, where, what is the condition I have to write?
Year of the order date.
Year of order date.
Good. Year of order date
Order date.
Equal to 2013.
is equal to 2013. Perfect. Okay. Okay, how can I validate? Is this my result set having the only order date 2013 or not? You written and you give me this information. Now I want to validate whether this result set is accurate or not. Okay, you got my point?
Yes.
Someone asks you to write a query. You written the query and you give the result set. I have 19,450 records. How can I validate this result set is accurate or not? And I don't know this information. What query you wrote? You just give me the information. In other words.
Sir, if we do group by year, then we'll have only one group. If we have more than one group, means there is some order which is in different year.
Okay, if I do the group by, there will be only one group. Okay, but I need not to go to that much level. If I just filter out this, take this one as one of the temporary table and filter on this table, checking
As subquery.
Year date. Okay, or in other words, I can just give the like a subquery as you rightly mentioned. Okay, I can simply use order by clause won't be required here. Okay, I can simply place this one as one of the subquery and I can write a query like this. Select star from this table where order date, year of order date not equal to 2013. If this
Sir, we have to name that subquery as X. Yeah,
yes,
that is what I'm telling.
Yes, you're right. Okay, I don't have any information. So this is the way unit testing you do. You have to write extra one more step to cross validate your data. You know, by seeing this one, you can simply say that hey, it won't get the results. It won't get other than 2013. But we have to validate. Okay, this is the one way. Now, I'm going to talk few points over.
Sir,
yes.
Small clarification, sir. This particular which you're putting in the bracket is treated as one table, correct?
Yes, it treated as a one result set.
And what is the X, sir, here?
It's an aliasing name. Just a table alias. How you do the aliasing? The same thing.
Sir,
Okay,
I have a question.
If, for example, if you not giving alias name, it's not work out here.
It won't work. Right?
Okay. Okay. I understood. Because of we need to put in whatever the software, we need to give alias name. Correct?
Exactly. Yes. Another question.
Sir, what type of query have more cost, like subqueries or using a group by clause?
Both are the two different purposes, right? So the subquery, you are just holding the result set into the other environment and taking the information there. Group by clause will use for the aggregations. Group by clause,
Yes.
don't get confused. Group by clause, when you want to do the count of the records or the sum of the records, minimum of the records, if you want to apply the aggregations, then only you go for the group by. So both have the two different approaches, different purposes. So there is no comparison between those two things. Okay. And coming to this one, right? The query, inner query. Forget about this one. We already done. That's good. We don't have any other data. So let's try to understand this query one more time in deeper. Okay. Whenever you did, as for our SQL query order of execution purpose, the query will execute from class. Okay. Let's take it will come from the from class here. And you have the customer table. Let's take you have the 20K records, 20K customers. And here you have the million records, 1 million records. Okay. Then whenever it's joined between these two, how many rows it will produce?
Okay.
So 20.
Which is the smallest one? Which is the smallest one? 20 is correct? Yeah.
So no, one customer can have the 10 information. So it will produce the 1 million records. It will produce the 1 million records over here because the maximum table is the order by, and each order will associate to the customer ID. So your output will be 1 million records. Right?
No, I did not get it. Because see, for example, in the both the tables we don't have any common IDs. Then what basis are going to display 1 million?
Inner join, sir. We are using the inner join. Inner join output is always give you the result set of the common information. Okay. So if you have the 1 million records over here, 20 million records in the other table, if each record will have the same kind of, so generally order will associate with the customer ID. There won't be any null in the customer ID for the order table. That is a minimum data perspective. If you think about the data perspective, without the customer ID, there won't be any order. So giving that information, as the order table has 1 million records, so the output of these two will be 1 million records. That's why you see duplicate records for each customer, right? So if one customer has the 10 records, 10 orders, it will give the 10 rows for you, which means the number of orders you have, how many, those are the output of your results. So my point here is, as you are doing this join, it will produce 1 million records over here. And let's take the next one is the category. If you have the 5 categories, again, the number of records is producing are around again the 1 million if it is each category is there, and if it is a different kind of thing. So this result set will take in and join to the other set, that result set will take in and join to the other set. So before coming to the where clause, sometimes you may go for the million to 2 million or 5 million, something like that, right? You guys are able to follow me what I'm trying to say?
That is not even not clear, sir. Millions.
Anyone else has any other question? I will come to your point. What I'm trying to say is, let's take only these two tables. Forget about this thing. Okay, forget about this one. If I want to get the only select count of one from order table. How many records I have? 73,595. Select count of one from customer table. I have 663 customers. When I join these two,
we'll get 663 only, correct?
no. 73,595 because each customer has more than one record. So each record will be shown up. Okay, so 73,000 like this. When I join to the category, so if it is a different one customer can belongs to more than one category, then you will get the more than one record. If the one customer belongs to one category only, then you will get one record only. So based upon this input, again it will get the another. So it's going to be more than 73k. Again here it's going to be more than 73k. So if you have the, let's assume you have the 5 to 6 joins. Always before coming to the where clause, your number of records you need to filter, or it will go to the millions, right? Then you apply year of order date 2013. If I just apply the year of order date 2013 here, the count will be from 17,000 to 19,000, 73,000 to 19,000. So if you filter out your records in the beginning itself, then all the subsequent joins will be reduced. You got it? So instead of joining to the 73 million records with the category table, 73,000 records with the category table, it will just join with the 19,000 records only to the category table. That will reduce the number of joins you have to make internally for each row. Are you guys able to follow me?
Because of this one, each customer many orders, that is the reason we will display that, correct?
Exactly. So all your joins, subsequent joins, will cost you to produce the number of rows more. So what I would suggest is, instead of placing the filter out here in the where clause, you can move your condition to the join itself. Your condition to the join itself, and this one, and year of 2013. Okay, then if you just do this information here, how many rows it will produce? 19,450. Instead of getting the 73,000, then filter out to 19,000, the join itself, it will filter out to 19,000. Then the subsequent actions what it has to perform will be drastically reduce your time. You guys able to follow me?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Kavita or Kushbu, Prashanti?
Yes, sir. We got it.
So yes, so number of orders, number of joins you have, instead of giving join to the whole table, choose the table part what you need to filter. That way your query performance will be more. So if someone asks you, hey, how would you go by the query performance? How would you improve my query performance? I would validate these kind of things. Generally people, what they will do is they will just join, then they will filter out. So if you have the 10 to 15 joins, let's assume it is a big completely normalized table. For each column you have to go to one table, then you have to join to the n number of things, then filter out. It will take a long time. Then it is easy to filter out the records wherever it is required. So one more point you need to understand over here is, it is not only the condition here, it's not only the customer ID is equal to customer ID, and you can specify the static conditions also. So what it will do, it will execute this record and it will check this condition also. If this condition also satisfied, then only that record will be persist. If the condition not satisfied, that record won't be persist. That record won't be displayed out. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
This is when you use the inner join.
I want to understand in this way, is correct or wrong? And first is the customer ID, and that is order from the order table customer ID can filter out the based on what are the records against 2013, that records only will be displayed.
Yes. Yes. Then if you go for the further records only, it will join on the category.
Okay.
That's why the order of execution is matter for us.
And if you, for example, in the customer category ID, so you need to write here by order date is not required, right?
Not required. It's already filtered out. So there is no
Filtered.
required of the where clause also here. That's what I'm telling.
Yeah.
You don't need to write the where clause also. So now your query, the earlier query and this query both will show the same results. Look, 19,450. But make sure that when you use the left outer join, if you use the conditions over here, sometimes the records will miss. We'll come to that. You just think about it. Tomorrow I can explain you the scenario. What kind of the scenarios will miss the records if you use the left outer join and some kind of conditions here, then you may miss some records, valid records you may miss. There is one catch you need to understand, but think about it at yourself, and tomorrow I will explain on that scenario. Okay, next, coming back to here, joins, we gone through it very detailedly. I hope I give some insights about the joins over here. And second thing is, whenever you are using the couple of inner joins, couple of left joins, couple of outer joins, always make sure that you do the inner joins first, then do the left outer join or the right outer join. So the inner joins first, then the outer joins. That way you won't miss any valid records. So if you have to use the couple of inner joins, couple of outer joins in the same query, use the inner joins first. Okay.
I have a question, sir. Like, can we use inner joins and also the count function, something like that, mixed together?
Okay, let's take this one only. I am giving okay, each customer name, order ID, order date. I don't want the order ID and order date. I just want for each customer name, category, how many orders he made it. How many orders he made it. Okay. So whenever I ask them how many orders, it means count of order ID, right?
Order ID.
So if I go for the count of order ID here, instead of the order date and order this one, I can go for the count of order ID. This is num of order. Then can I execute this query? Is it succeeded or failure? If succeeded, okay. If not failure, why it is failing? Can someone predict?
We have to use group by.
Why?
Aggregate function. If we have aggregate function in the select statement.
If you use the aggregate function, count is the aggregate function, so you have to use the group by. So
group by clause.
It will fail saying that, hey, use the aggregate function. Customer ID is invalid because the select list is not contained in either aggregate or the group by class. So I have to group by customer ID, customer name, and the category, customer category. Here, see this error is telling that ambiguity column, which means you have the customer ID in more than one table. Which column are you referring here? That is the question. So you have to make sure that whatever the select column you are using, you should use that one here. Okay. So now, see this customer. Now the number of records, if you see, it came down to 625 because I have used the 2013 filter. If I take off the 2013 filter, now it will be only 663 records because that is the count of 6 customers, right? See here, each customer, how many orders he made. So we did the group by class and the count of these things.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Let's take. Now I have go ahead.
By default, should we always choose the inner join and then the left and right in the event of not missing any?
Okay, that's a very good question. There is no default concept over here. That is the business scenario what you want to display. Okay, there is no assumption. The business scenario is, hey, you need the customer who has the order information, only then display that customer information. If you have to display the customer information, if he has the order information, then use the inner join. You want just all the customers. If you made a order, give the count. If you don't made the order, give me the null. Then you have to use the left outer join, right? Then the prospective, how you are looking into your data. In this scenario, we are displaying all the customers who has the orders only, which means it seems each customer has at least one order, right? If the customer don't have the order, it will miss. Your number of customers table is going to be equivalent to the number of records which is it written. So it's a business scenario which will tell you whether you have to use the left join or the inner join.
Can you repeat the question regarding the left outer join you were mentioning earlier?
So the left outer join, left outer join, what I'm mentioning is, if you want to list out all the customers, even though he made the order or not. Okay, I want the customer ID, customer name, customer category. If you made the number of orders.
Oh, not now.
Yes.
Sorry, it was regarding the scenario you were asking about earlier. It's like with left outer join, we lose records.
Exactly. Yeah. That one I will tell you tomorrow. You think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That would
take can you repeat the question so that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think about it. You will definitely get it. If you understand my concept over here, joining condition and next that result set will be take and join. If you understand that concept and if you understand the join, you will figure it out why I mentioned that point. But tomorrow I will definitely talk about that one. Ramesh, is it clear? I hope that was asked by Ramesh earlier. Inner join or the left join?
Yes, yes, it is clear. Thank you. Thanks.
Perfect.
I tend to mute myself right away just in case.
No problem. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So next few things. Database constraints. That is the next concept. Before going to the database constraints, till now we are going through the inner queries, right? Inner query, why I am using the inner query? To hold the value for a temporary basis. On that value, I am writing some query. So the queries under the queries, we are using inner queries for the just hold the values intermediate. So for that purpose, you can use the temporary tables also. Instead of using the inner queries, you can use the temporary tables, temp tables. Okay. So before going to the temp tables, okay, let me give you. I have one table where I have the customer IDs. I have the another table where I have the order, right? Suppose I want to get all the customers who has the orders without the joins. Can I write? Without using the joins, I want to write, give me the all the customers who has at least a order. Give me the list of customers who has at least one order without join conditions. Is my question clear? First thing.
So you need to have the customer IDs or you need even information about the customer, you're saying?
That's fine. I need all the record of the customer.
Okay.
If you don't know about the joins, how would you do?
We are copying, we are taking multiple tables, copying the one data to another table as a temporary table, correct? And from that table we can...
No, don't think all these things. I even never talk about the temporary table to you. Okay.
We can use like from customers, comma, orders table, where clause, and we can connect the customer ID column from the customer table and the orders table.
Yes, where class and in class, right? So if you want to compare more than one value, always in the where class till now we talked about the only equal to or not equal to. There is one more clause also, in class, right? So select star from customer table. Where customer ID in, if my customer have a record in the order table, means select customer ID from order table. See here, this is also true. So what my inner query is doing, it is getting all the customer IDs from the order table. If my customer ID in this list, which means that customer has the order. Does it make sense? I can write like this also, 663 records. So one way of doing this one is in class, but this in class is very pretty expensive. For where and in class is pretty expensive. That's why it's better to use the joins. Okay, it's better to use the joins. And again, this one I have in the just some inner table, right? I can use this data into the one of the temporary table. That temporary table I can use with the session. So basically, if you use the inner query, that inner query result set you can use only for within that query only. You can't use outside of that query, right? But by using the temporary tables, you can use that result set multiple times. Just I need this customer IDs. Okay, so then I can write like this: select customer ID into hash is the keyword to define the temporary table. Hash tmp underscore employee in the same class. Select customer ID into hash temp employee. If I run this one, it will create a temporary table and it will list out all the employees in this table. So now if I can use this one as a table directly. So this table contains only one column, customer ID. Select star from hash temp employee. Right? I got all that.
Can we, I have a question.
Yes.
Can we use exists in the previous query where you used
exist
in
also? Yes.
Where
exist also? Yes.
This one can exist.
Yes.
So would that be better performance wise?
Yes.
Instead of
exist is
okay.
better than the in class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exist,
yeah. Thank
in and joins. The best option is the joins. Otherwise, the exist also is fine. Okay. So now select star from temp employee. So this temp employee I can use n number of times. So here it is repeating, right? I just want to get all the distinct customer IDs. Okay. I already created a temporary table. If I run this query again, it will throw me the error saying that, hey, you already have this object called the hash temp employee in the database. You can't use this one. Let me copy this one. Go to the new query window. I pasted here. I executed here. It succeeded here. It succeeded in this window, but it failed in this window, which means the scope of the temporary table is for that session or that window only, right? Are you guys able to follow me?
Yes.
If I want to create again here, it won't allow me. It's already there. So here I can use the select star from hash temp. Okay, or here I can select star from hash temp. So these are all the local temporary tables. Local temporary tables. Let me create the same one more table, but that table just contains the distinct customers. I don't want to create the distinct customer IDs because it is repeating the customer ID here, right? Distinct customer IDs. And I want to define this table as hash double hash. Okay, double hash, and run this one. See here, it's created, and if I run this table here, I was able to see the data. Okay, I took the same command to the next window. As for our previous on the top query, this should not give any error. It should execute, right? But it's failed here. The above statements got succeeded in the new window. This statement got failed in the new window because hash temp one single hash. Okay, single hash is the local temporary table. Okay, double hash is the global temp table. The global temp table can be used across the sessions, and the scope of the global temporary table within the database. Okay, so we have the local temporary tables and global temporary tables. The temporary table purposes to hold the some set of information you want to join with multiple times, multiple queries and all. You want to use the same data, but you don't want to create a database object to store the data again. That's just for the intermediate query purpose. Then you can use this local or global temporary tables for your purposes. Is it clear? Now, by using this hash temp employee, right? Here I can simply this query I can write here in select customer ID from hash temp employee. I can write like this 663. If I want to write the join, what is the join I need to write? So just join this is another table, right? Let's take the TEMP on cust.customer ID is equal to TEMP.customer ID. Both result sets will be the same. First records is 663, second also 663. It means, see, I'm using this table repeatedly in different queries on the same session. That is the purpose of the temporary table. So you hold the result set from one query, you hold into some temporary value, and all subsequent queries you are using that one. That way you are building a workflow. Okay, first get all the distinct employees where it has the customer order. Then list out all the employees where those are existing into that employee table. Instead of joining to the order table where it has the 73,000 records, you are now joining to the temporary table where it has the only 663 records, right? Any questions? Is it clear? Let's speak out. It's an interaction session. Feel free to speak out and let me know whether you are able to follow or not.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yes. Sir, actually, in this small clarification, your local and global table will be there. Whatever the table you are creating, generally, if any specific name will be there?
Pardon?
One hash will be local the local table. Double hash means the global table. And without using this one, whatever the table they are creating now. So generally, any other specific name will be there like that one?
Specific name means normally the database tables, these temporary tables to hold the intermediate result set value for you. So there are two types of temporary tables you can create. One is local temporary table, another one is global temporary tables. Because local temporary tables is scope, means the validity of that local temporary table to that session only. But the global temporary table you can use across the multiple sessions. But if you are using the result set again and again, it's better to create a separate table, physical table. That way you will get the performance also more better. These temporary tables only for that information only during that execution only. If you are repeatedly using the same kind of information again and again in the more than one queries, more than one places, then it's better to create a view or the create a physical table, not to the
So
one.
is that why there is a double hashtag?
Double hash represent the global.
Okay.
To differentiate the local and the global, double hash.
Okay, yeah. I was just seconding you that is that why we need to differentiate the two tables. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. So, and there is another way. So we talked about the inner queries, which will hold the temporary information, but the scope is only that query, right? Second one is temporary tables. We have two types, local and the global. Third one is CTE, common table expression. We'll talk about the common table expressions tomorrow because it has to go through a few things. Basically, you can use the common table expression as a intermediate table where it can hold the values, or you can use a common table expression for the recursive functions also. So which means for the management hierarchy, find the manager. That one also you can use the CTS. So CTS and the functions and the variables is going to be tomorrow. And today I will just talk about the database constraints. Okay, one more topic. Maximum give me 5 to 10 minutes, guys. Sorry about that. Database constraints. What is the database constraint? A database constraint means you want to constrain your data. You want to make sure that your data has a quality information. How would you make sure that you have the quality data? Which means it should not have the nulls. It should have the unique values. It should have the proper value set. If you have the male and female, it must have the only male and female. It should not contain any other values. If you have the employee SSN, the employee SSN must be this format, or employee SSN must contain 9 digits, or employee SSN should be not be null, or it should be the default value so and so. Or whenever you have the employee record, employee should have the employee ID, so there should not be any nulls. Or whenever you are trying to identify one record, you should get only one record. You should not get the more than one record by applying some condition. So those are all the data quality, right? To ensure your data quality, we have the different types of the database constraints. So always there is a two ways you can restrict and make sure that your data quality. There are some applications creating, they are pushing the data to your database. While validating itself, in the front end, they will validate what is the password type, how many length it has, what kind of combination it has. They can validate itself and they can send it to you, or you can have the constraints at your database level. So let's take, while you are filling the form, you select the gender and all, some free text form is there. You have to give the male or female. Either front-end application can validate it, or you can get it to your backend and you can validate over there, right? So there are certain level of constraints you can apply in the database level to ensure your data has the quality information. So those database constraints, suppose if I don't want any null in my table in this particular column, then I can apply the not null. Not null is the one constraint. Let's take, I don't have any, these constraint, database constraints, what I'm talking, these are all with the create statement. So whenever you are creating a table, you can define the constraint on a particular column. Okay, so you can define, employee ID is not null, employee ID not null. So in your syntax, you can include create table tbl underscore employee empid, which can be, you tell me what data type I need to give.
Integer.
Integer. That's why you need to recollect your data types. That is main important. How many values you are holding. Okay, let's take my small, then you have to answer me saying that, hey, it's based upon your organization, I need to select. If it is a transaction, I will go for the big int. If it is a normal thing, I can go for the integer or small int. right? So in this, I'm just going for the small int, nothing wrong. Okay, here itself you can specify not null. Okay, emp name. Okay, this is varchar of 50, not null. So when you create the table like this, you can implement a constraint. Now when you are trying to insert the data, whenever you are trying to insert the data, it won't allow you. Let's take insert into BL_employee values. I give, okay, let's take, I have the employee ID 10, but name I don't know. I give the null. Okay, it won't allow you to insert. Does it make sense? Are you guys able to follow?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that is the one thing. Second one is unique constraints.
Sir, actually, yep. And you're not discussing not null primary key, both are same or different?
You need to wait for a minute. Okay, I'm talking one by one. That's good. You know a couple of database constraints. We'll talk about that one. I'm on the same page.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay, unique constraints. A unique constraint means you're telling that, hey, I have given the employee ID. This employee ID belongs to only one employee. You can't give the same employee ID for the more than one people. So each one should have the unique values. That is the unique key. That unique key can have one null, because one person with the null is acceptable. If the another record with the null won't acceptable, because it's already null is there. So the unique constraints will make sure that you have the uniqueness values in that one. So the unique constraints will allow one null, one record with the null value. Okay, so that one also you can define. Okay, let me drop this table, TBL_employee. Okay, you can create the same table here, and you can specify more than one constraints, not null and unique, because unique will accept the null, right? So you can allow not null or unique, or the unique only, like this. Whenever I insert this one, right? So it's created. Now I'm giving the 10 and something name is test1. If I want to create the another record, what is the command? If I want to insert multiple rows,
Put a comma and then another set.
Another set. Okay, so here I can give the null. I don't have this one, and this one is ABC. Two rows got inserted. So select start from TBL_employee, TBL_employee. If I'm trying to insert the same set again, it throws the error. See, violation of the unique key constraint, UQ_TBL_employee_ this name. This is the name what it is given. It was given to that constraint by system default. Okay, and cannot be insert the duplicate key in the object table employee. The duplicate key value is 10. So first it's taking for this record. As it is the duplicate, it won't allow. So I give here, and I'm trying to run again. Then it will fail for the next set. See, null. Clear? So unique key will allow the nulls, but only once. That is the unique constraint. Next one is primary key.
Generally, what purpose are you using unique key actually? Example.
To make sure that you have assigned the one value for one customer ID. You should not repeat the customer ID more than one person. Employee ID, or you have the one customer belongs to one category, or the one customer, one employee belongs to one department.
That's correct. Only I'm talking about why the unique keys are allowed for that particular. For example, each customer has one unique number.
Yes.
That particular in this case it's allowing the one null characters.
It already has the one null. Last time we executed in this table. If you see, there is one record.
No. I'm talking about the unique, the characteristics of the unique constant. It's allowing the one null.
Yes.
So that means because the unique means in each column has unique values. Correct?
In that column, yes.
Yes, so each column unique values will be there, but the particular column is following the null value. That cannot clarity actually.
Null also one of the value. You can't have the two columns, two rows with the null. You can have the one row with the null. So it's already one record with the null ABC. Okay, so you can insert this one. This is fine. Okay, but you can't insert this one again, null ABC, because it's already null is there, right? It's simple. You already have one record with the null. You are trying to insert the another record with the null. It won't allow you. That is the uniqueness. Okay. Primary key. A primary key is the unique plus not null. So it should not contain any duplicates. At the same time, it should not contain any null value. That is the primary key. So if you specify the primary key, that column, that combination should allow only uniqueness, and it should not allow any null. Unique plus null, not null, is going to be the unique plus not null is going to be the primary key. And you can specify primary key based upon more than one column also. That's called composite key. That's called composite key. Composite key. Composite key is the key on more than one column. The primary key can be on more than one column. Is it clear? Okay. So here also you can just give, instead of unique, you can give the primary key like this. Okay. Drop table, this table. Here if you are trying to insert this one, it will throw the error because null can't be inserted into the primary key. Okay, so you need to make sure that whenever you specify the primary key on a particular column, it should not allow the null, it should not allow the duplicates. Any questions? By taking the time consideration, maybe I will stop the session today here. Tomorrow we'll talk about the remaining. We have the foreign key constraints, we have the check constraint. Those are the only two remaining. And we'll talk about the unique key and union all differences, and then we'll shift to the variables and the functions tomorrow. That is the target to close. So tomorrow I'm target to close these remaining few concepts over here and the functions, variables and functions and CDEs. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.